VOSS, artesian water from Norway. Splendidly still or luxuriously sparkling. VOSS, artesian water from Norway.
I got to know Stobe through Alain Ducasse. Getting one for the first time and then cooking with it was a wow moment for me. What sets it apart, the construction and durability of it, the craftsmanship that goes into it, the history that goes into it. I mean, it goes back to Paul Bocuse. It's like the Mercedes-Benz of cookware for me almost.
Introducing Groupon's new bookable, time-based offers. Easily book a reservation at top restaurants right on the Groupon website. All we need is a date, time, and party size. Show up for your reservation time, no voucher required.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for fighting this weather. My gosh. Thank you for coming out. Happy 2015. It's great to have you here. I hope that you had a great break and it was very restful. I know for myself, I was busier than could be. I brought the dinner party to WGN Radio 3 times over the holidays, which was so fun. And the format just works so well on radio. I hope to keep doing that. So it was very fun to be on WGN. I also have this surge of interest. I think the word has gotten out about the dinner party. I've had this surge of interest from corporations asking me to tailor the dinner party for their employees or their organization's members. So I've been really busy configuring all these different kind of dinner parties that I'm doing all over the place. And then you may have noticed when you came in and hopefully had some David's tea, there were some CS magazines out there. And the CS Magazine is just, I'm so honored. They did this beautiful article on the dinner party and on me, and it was just such a treat on page 28. So the magazine is out now, but the photo shoot happened over the holidays, so it was just busy, busy, busy. Great things already in store for 2015. The first is, today is the first day of year number 4 on the dinner party. So we're officially 3. Happy birthday to me. Very fun. We're officially 3. We start our 4th year today. And another very exciting bit of news for 2015. 2015 is the year of Trotter on the dinner party. We're so very excited. What that means is every dinner party is going to have a very special chef who either worked directly with Charlie Trotter or has been inspired by Charlie Trotter. And so what that means for you guys is more great food and more great chefs, like always, on the dinner party. But this holds special meaning for me because I've been working with the Trotter Project, a new organization that I respect so much. If you were here today as part of the wine tasting, you did one of the events, we're going to have many all year long, that are fundraising events for the Trotter Project, because the Trotter Project seeks to give students mentorships and internships, hands-on life experience in the kitchen so that they can enter the culinary world or the hospitality world with the ideals that Charlie held himself. And as we know, Charlie Trotter put Chicago on the map for food. So I just think it's really important, and I'm really happy to be working with them in 2015. But I'm getting ahead of myself because that's 2015. What I really should be talking about is right now tonight, because we have a great show tonight. If this is your first time, by chance, let me just fill you in on some things. My name is Elysabeth Alfano, and you are at the dinner party. And what I do on the dinner party is I invite 3 celebs and a prominent chef who cooks for them. And over food and drinks and dessert, the unscripted conversations flow. So that sounds pretty cool. But what's even better is that you're a part of this. So you're having food just like we are. So tonight you're getting Lagunitas beer, which is probably why everybody's in a good mood. Lagunitas beer, VOSS artesian water from Norway, bread from Nelcote, cheese from Roth. You're probably just starting on the appetizer of the night, which is clam stew with homemade oyster crackers, and you're going to have braised tail grass beef brisket, all from Chef Kevin Hickey of Bottle Fork and his new restaurant, The Duck Inn. He's a very busy man, and he's here tonight. I'm so happy. He's the executive director of food and beverage at Rocket Ranch, too, so a very busy man. He's cooking for us all night, and then we're going to have dessert with frozen Lifeway kefir treats, and hold on to your appetites, because we've got something new in the house. We've got cupcakes from Chicago Cupcakes, and we've got 3 of them, so for everybody. So cupcakes for everybody, so hold on to your appetites. It's going to be a great show. So, okay, just like any real dinner party, we're eating together. But that's not enough, of course, because at any good dinner party, you're having great conversation. So tonight, you are a part of the conversation with us. And there's 2 ways that you can do that. You can go 2014 and write out your question for people on stage. There are some index cards on your tables. I see you've got that. Okay, index cards on your tables with your pens. You can go ahead and write out your question with your name and your email, so I can contact you later if you win. As soon as you write out your question, raise your hand with your index card. My lovely interns are running around the room. They'll pick up your cards, and they'll bring them to my social media director, Chris Thorin, who is right there, and he's going to look at your questions, and he's going to pick the very best ones. Now, if you want to play it 2015, you can pull out your phones and you can send us tweets at dinnerpartychgo. Hashtag the dinner party. Dinner party CHGO. Send us your tweets or write out your questions, and this is what you can win. $100 at any Rocket Ranch restaurant. Woohoo! We've got signed books, we've got music tickets, we've got tickets to see BAM. Were they not fabulous? They were wonderful, our opening act. We've got artwork, we've got lots of things, and the first tweet, I'll just give you a little hint here. The first tweet that we're giving away is something you could never buy. You're really gonna want this, something you could never, ever buy. But you have a little competition tonight. Not only are we a sold-out show, so you're sort of tweeting against each other, we are streaming live, like always, on the Suntime Splash section. I love the Splash. They've come out with a new color insert to the newspaper. They're just wonderful. So we are streaming. Welcome, everybody, to the dinner party. We're streaming on the Suntime Splash, so you want to keep up with everybody. Okay, I'm going to let you pull out your phones and quickly thank my sponsors, and then we're going to get right to the show. So you guys get on Twitter, and I will say thank you to Lagunitas Beer for making everything a party. Thank you to VOSS Artesian Water, who's been with me for years now. These people are wonderful to work with. The water is the best. And FYI, people usually kind of battle on their way out to save the water bottles for themselves because they're so beautiful. So put your dibs on that right now. Groupon, which is a wonderful company, they're up to really cool new things. Groupon, you can now make a reservation at any restaurant on their site as long as you have a date and a time. You don't even need a deal. You can go to Groupon and reserve at any time. So that's wonderful. And then Staub Cookware, they've been so instrumental for us. We do all these video tapings with chefs across the city, and you'll see tonight in some videos with Chef Kevin Hickey. They've been wonderful. So, and again, of course, thank you to the Chicago Sun-Times Splash section, and Windy City Times is also a media sponsor, and I love them. Okay, enough details, enough. We are getting to our show. I want to introduce my first guest, who has deep personal meaning to me, because when I started in 2010 on WTTW, I submitted a pilot that I just did myself because technology had been changing, and I thought, well, I can do this too. I've got an idea for a TV show. I'd never done TV before. I sent it into WTTW, and I thought, well, if they pick my show, I better have some guests that I'm ready to interview. So I asked him, hey, would you be willing to be interviewed if I'm ever picked to do this show? And he said, well, do you have any experience? And I said, no. And he said, well, have you ever been on TV before? And I said, no. And he said, well, do you know anybody at WTTW? And I said, no. And he said, well, do you have any money? And I said, no. And he said, no problem, I'm in. And so I am very happy that tonight, starting year 4, we have artist, musician, singer, songwriter, Nicholas Barron in the house. Nicholas Barron. Nicholas Barron. Come sit next to me, Mr. Nicholas. Come sit here. Yeah, come sit right there. My next guest is oh so funny. She was on Saturday Night Live from 1990 to 1994, creating some of the most memorable characters like Pat. Since then, she's remained a very funny lady and a very successful lady. I want to say that she has mastered the one-woman show. Her shows God Said Ha and Letting Go of God. She did on both coasts before they both became movies. She's also a writer. She's consulted for shows like Sex and the City and Desperate Housewives. She's a very favorite on TED Talks, and she has her own book out that's maybe about a year and a half old or so. She'll tell us all about it. If it's not one thing, it's your mother. So please welcome the very funny writer, actress, comedian, performer, Julia Sweeney. Sit right there.
Am I supposed to go? Is this okay?
You can sit right there.
Okay, fantastic.
You can sit right there. The tricky thing about having great guests is that their resumes are so long. So, okay, my next guest is a legend. And if you're streaming, watching us perhaps in another state or another country, you know what legend means. But to us in Chicago, it's particularly important and touching. He has been a producer and anchor on CBS in both Chicago and New York for 30 years. We got groundbreaking news from him due to his investigative reporting on Agent Orange, American Children in Vietnam, the Chicago Democratic Convention, the Manson trials. Basically, if it happened, Bill Kurtis was there. His production company, Kurtis Productions, where he has hosted and produced some of the most iconic TV series, like my favorite, The Cold Case Files, and Investigating History, and The New Explorers. So many, you can't even count them. He is also an author of 3 books, bringing us important subjects, overturning our thoughts perhaps on things like the death penalty. He is the voice of journalism, which is why he has narrated both of the Anchorman movies. He has a new gig on radio where he's having a great time. We'll talk to him about it. He is the official scorekeeper now of Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, of NPR's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. And who knew he's a conservationist? He's the owner and founder of Tallgrass Beef. Please welcome the legendary, our legendary, Bill Kurtis. Yay! Woo! You can sit right there.
It's so good to be legendary.
You are.
And I would be very remiss if I didn't say that the fabulous chef Kevin Hickey is slaving away right now in the kitchen. Let's take a peek in the kitchen and see what he is doing right now.
Hi, I'm Kevin Hickey, Executive Chef and Director of Food and Beverage for Rocket Ranch Productions and Chef Partner here at the Duck Inn down in Bridgeport. I'm very excited to be here on the dinner party. Getting ready to cook your first course, clam stew. We call it clam stew, but really it's clam chowder. But it's a really unique clam chowder in that it's made to order, so it's not a big gloppy thick soup. It's very fresh, really delicious. So we want to work with really basic ingredients because we really want the flavor of the clam to come through. So we start off with a little shallots, a little garlic. We're going to sweat these off a little bit. So sweating it flavors the oil that we're going to cook everything in. Now we'll add our clams. These are manila clams. These happen to be the best right now and have the plumpest muscle inside. Very flavorful. And all the flavors on the inside, so that's where the flavor of our stew is going to come from. And then we add a very nice white wine, usually a Chardonnay. It works really well. It's a little buttery, full flavored. Also, if it's got a good acid component, kind of balances out the richness of the soup. And we'll add the rest of our ingredients. Celery, potatoes, a little salt, a little white pepper, and then we're going to place the lid on top and allow the clams to cook in the wine and their own juices and pop open. I think the idea really came from, I love clam chowder, everybody loves clam chowder. Why does clam chowder have to be this thick, gloppy soup? Why can't it be something as simple as made in the pan with fresh clams? So it kind of grew out of that. So it's a made-to-order clam chowder. So now we'll add a little mixture of cream and vegetable stock. Pretty good, needs a little more seasoning. A little bit of salt. A little bit more pepper. A little bit of acid. Acid is very important in a lot of dishes. Really brings the flavors out. A little bit of lemon is going to go a long way. We'll add a little pat of butter to finish. a little richness. We'll taste again. It's very important to continually taste your food. Perfect. Now we'll ladle up a portion and garnish it with our homemade oyster crackers. So here you have a portion of our homemade clam stew. Thanks for joining us in the kitchen today. We'll see you back soon for the entree.
Chef Kevin Hickey! Come on out, Chef! Chef, come on out!
Oh my God.
Come on out, Chef Kevin Hickey! Okay, so I want to ask you, you used to be the executive chef at the Allium, and then you decided to head to Bridgeport. Explain to me.
Well, I didn't head to Bridgeport. I was already there.
You were from Bridgeport. He's a Bridgeport guy.
About 5-6 generations in Bridgeport. So, yeah, I was executive chef at Four Seasons for about 20 years, and finally decided to go out and do my own thing. So.
And why Bridgeport?
Well, like I said, you know, family for about 5 generations. I think it's a great neighborhood. It's incredibly close to downtown and very accessible. And there was an opportunity a block from my house
Oh my gosh.
for a 96-year-old bar lounge that had been around forever. One family had run it for 3 generations, and it just seemed like the time.
Well, has anyone been to the Duck Inn yet? It just opened December 8th. Oh, Duck Inn fans.
Wow.
That's awesome. Okay, we're all going to the Duck Inn, like all
Sure,
of us.
no, it's
We're-
open right now.
Yes, a convoy. We're all going. Well, tell me, because, you know, you also, after the Allium, you opened Bottle Fork.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I was surprised if you'd ever eaten at the Four Seasons. You know, it's sort of a different style of restaurant to then go to Bottle Fork. And I wondered what made you want to do that shift in style of food.
I wanted to cook for a lot more people, and you know, Four Seasons was fantastic. I grew up with that company, lived all over the world, really enjoyed it, and was the penultimate in luxury hotels. And I really wanted to reach more people and cook food that was a little more fun, a little more accessible, and so you know, Bottle Fork was, you know, I had the opportunity to partner up with my good friend and partner Billy Deck.
Yes.
He had a space on Clark and said, hey, you know, I'd love to work with you. You can have this space, do whatever you want. So it just kind of grew out of what worked well in that space.
And you already knew Billy Deck before when you were at the Four
I've
Seasons?
known Billy
Yes.
for years. Yeah,
Yes.
he's, you know, I've lived all over the world, but I've always been a huge fan of Chicago. I've, you know, been very, very big promoter of Chicago. And Billy's a huge
Of
promoter
course.
of Chicago and a great ambassador all over the world.
He's a
for
force to be
Chicago.
reckoned
So we always connected on that level.
Yes,
So.
yes, wonderful. Well, you know, it's this trend, I'm sure you've noticed it, where you're seeing more and more Michelin star chefs, you know, 3 diamond star chefs, turn to kind of do a burger joint or, you know, and do that kind of, you know, meet the people and be more out there and more accessible.
Well, I think, you know, people still want to eat high-end food. They want to eat quality. They want to drink quality, but they want to sit casual.
Right,
They want to relax. They
Yeah.
want to be able to come in a, you know, if they're in a suit and tie, they're comfortable. If they're in a sweater and jeans, they're comfortable.
Right.
And that's what we tried to do with Bottle Fork and with Duck Inn. Duck Inn really offers kind of like 2 experiences. You have the bar and lounge in the front, which is really casual and really fun, and come as you are, first come, first serve. The dining room, we take reservations. The food is a little more elevated as far as execution and some of the ingredients, and it's a little coursed out, a little more like a traditional dinner experience. But there's no tablecloths, there's no ties on anyone
Right.
that works for us.
Right.
You know, it's a very casual, fun,
Yeah.
approachable experience, but no less attention paid to the quality or the execution of the food.
Well, and something we're going to talk about when you come back, because we've got, luckily, Bill Kurtis here. So when I know you've got lots of work to do still in the kitchen on our entrees, but when you come back, we'll talk about the edification then that happens for the clientele who might go to a burger bar. So when you have a chef like Kevin Hickey then coming to serve burgers as well, you're going to get a different kind of quality of meat and quality of vegetables, and in the long run, then the clientele is educated about better food.
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk all about that when you swing back. I know you have to head back to the kitchen, but we'll have him out. He's going to belly up to the table after our entrees.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Thank you. Wow. Okay. So I like to bring together people that may or may not know each other, and Nicholas has never met Julia or Bill before, but I think that they have something in common. And so what you all have in common is that you've stood the test of time. I mean, you've all been doing your craft for decades, really, and you've gone through that, what I see.
Decades.
This is not a slam. This is not a, yes.
So many decades.
You've gone through it so gracefully. So, I mean, I'm asking all of you, but I'll start with Bill first, and you guys just chime in. Why do you think that you've stood the test of time so well?
Good health.
Bill?
And beautiful women.
Oh, well, that's Bill. God, that worked for me. I don't know.
Energy. And I was able to maintain the passion and reinvent myself, because you do go through a period where you sort of master your craft and you can't do the same story year after year after year. I can predict what stories are going to come on. Some guy is going to go down to the county clerk's office and sit there all night waiting for a permit. How many times have you seen that? And but you don't want to leave your craft,
yes,
because you have too much experience. So you reinvent yourself within it. After 20 years at Channel 2 with Walter, I was able to go to the network and anchor with Diane Sawyer. Yes. Then I realized, on the top of Mount Everest, there are a lot of discarded oxygen tanks. And I didn't particularly like it. So it was too much politics. And I like to write. I like to report. So I came back. And in so doing, had enough clout to write a contract that allowed me to start my own company at the same time, right, and start into a documentary. And so after 30 years with CBS, I had another 20 years with Kurtis Productions.
Yes, yes.
And I calculated I have narrated 1,000 shows.
Oh my gosh.
And the company has produced 500. So you have a cold case files and investigative reports and
yes,
the New Explorers. And then nearing retirement, I decided I'm an entrepreneur. And I had a good, successful production company, and I forgot to see the definition of an entrepreneur, which is someone who has delusional optimism.
Yes, lunatic, yes.
And I got into the beef business. And I'll tell you about that later.
Yeah. So reinventing yourself, Julia, Nicholas, is that what you felt for you?
Yeah, it's like either reinventing yourself or a desperate search for something new to do to make yourself relevant, but whatever way you want to describe it. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I always thought, like in show business, I was a little bit of a jack of all trades because I could do acting. Like when I lived in LA, I felt like I could go be on a sitcom, and I could also write on a sitcom, yes, and I could do a voiceover, and I also did stand-up around, and I liked to be in plays. And now I think that was a really good thing. I think overall it actually is a really good thing, but there's also a cost to that because sometimes you never get really great at one thing. So while I felt like I spread myself out so that if something wasn't happening, I always feel like you had to have a stove and you had to have 5 pots on the stove and one of them would boil. Like something would happen.
Yes, right. So,
but then I would look at other people who really just focused on one area, and I started thinking maybe that was really the way to go. I don't even know what the way to go is, frankly. But I think that I don't know. Like sometimes I think that was a great way to go, and in other ways I think, I wish I'd just concentrated on one thing and tried to get really great at one thing. I don't know.
it's hard because when you do that, then you leave all of your eggs in one basket. So
Right. So that's scary too.
Yes.
But anyway, fortunately, I was able to, in a small way, sort of move between the worlds, and so I guess I don't think of it as reinventing myself, as more as like what I become more interested in, and definitely as I get older, I'm much more interested in writing and now I'm interested in directing and less interested in performing, even though I also like that too. But I can feel myself sort of maturing in that way. And one thing that I always think, I was thinking this today, like I do love performing, and many people say they want me to perform, but I feel like there are so many great performers out there. I mean, like I don't feel like the world needs me to be a performer. Like there's
we
so
might
many.
disagree.
Well, but I mean, but I do feel like there's a certain, maybe older female point of view, you might call it, that is lacking out there. Like I feel like my writing, like when I look out and I see the films that are out there, I see the books that are out there, I do feel like I have a voice more that I think will add to what I want to see out there. So that's why I feel right now I'm trying to stop the performing and do more of the writing.
Well, I'm happy to see that it's being well received, because I think that isn't a voice that's out there very much. I see Bill nodding, and it's nice to see that you're allowed.
Well, it's well received by myself, by the way. I will say, like, me and me really agree on what I'm writing about. I write it, and then I approve what I write, and I'm so happy with what I'm working on. The world, maybe not, but okay. But anyway.
How about you?
I feel like I'm the journeyman, craftsman. I've been working on my thing for my music for a long time, and am not famous. I mean, these guys have both been famous people, are famous people, but I feel like I'm that person who's working all the time. I'm creative all the time. Yes. I draw all the time. I paint all the time. I have a huge body of work. I have a great body. Oh my God.
Your body
but man,
of work is so great.
So, like 12-pack, like just buff, man, hunky. Body of work. But no, I'm just, my father's a painter, my mother's a painter. I come from a family of artists, and so for me it's about just the simplicity of doing it, and regardless of the outcome of it, which I've had to learn with close things almost happening, blah blah blah. So for me, it's a different, kind of a different level, but at the same time, it's about doing something that I love, that I have to do, and I have to do it every day, and I have to do it a lot.
So you don't have a choice.
Yeah, I don't have a choice, and that's As a matter of fact, the song that I'll sing later, whenever I sing that song, that's about having this affliction. I feel like it's an affliction. Being an artist is being a creative person, being someone who has. You have to express. We have to put it into a form, and it has to be. We'll find a way to do it, and so.
Do you both feel that way? Because I know I didn't mention it, Bill, in your intro, because your intro already had so many things. But you started as a law student, and you.
I did.
Yes, but I think it shows in the content that you choose to create. So I don't know. Do you feel that you're sort of driven to put out what you put out?
Well, I feel driven.
Yes.
I definitely do, but I was on the way to become a great lawyer. And I left my study class for taxes and went out to fill in for a friend. I had worked through at a local TV station through law school in Topeka, Kansas. We were the only TV station in town. And I was... I did the news, and they said, "Why don't you stick around? We have some serious weather coming in." Okay. Let's go back on at 7 o'clock. It was June Forsyth in the CBS program Lost in Space. And okay, well, let's go in at the top of the hour because they get angry when you interrupt the program. So I went on, and I was white shirt and 26 years old. Had my little tie there. My wife and 6-month-old baby was in married housing on the university campus. And I heard a two-way radio kind of come into the studio from the newsroom, and it said, "There's a tornado on the ground. It's at the southwest edge of the city, and it's headed for downtown." And thought goes through my head. I gave the warning or whatever it was. But I didn't really think, as we all feel, that it was real. So I said, well, let's wait for the second. and we'll see where it's going. Because we had an old Indian legend that it would hit a mound at the southwest edge of the city and dissipate and all that. Well, it didn't. The next report was it's wiped out a 200-unit apartment complex. Turned out to be an F5. And it was about a block wide. And it wiped out, not the law school, the entire university.
Oh my gosh.
8 out of 10 classroom buildings, beautiful old sandstone. It just threw residential and hospitals, ripped a hole out of the Capitol dome. And I was on the air. And before it started its march, I faced a life and death situation in the sense of what do I say to get people convinced this is not just another warning and they've got to go to the basement. And we now can look back at the kinescope and laugh, but I said, for God's sake, take cover. And no uncertain terms, but I welled up. It's really something. I welled up in kind of an hysteria, and I say, do I cry, do I cuss? And I went down the middle, straight as always. And I was on the air 24 hours, and all thoughts of practicing law left out the window because I thought God was showing me a way.
I was going to say, what an opportunity!
Or saving the world from a lawyer.
Yes.
And in 3 months, I was at WBBM in Chicago.
Wow.
30 years with CBS, and never looked back. It was the most exciting career you could imagine. Every day was different. The Democratic Convention, running with the weathermen in '69 down the streets, just unbelievable. Covering Manson and sitting as close to you as with Charlie for 10 months.
Wow.
And on the other side, the girls with the swastikas in their foreheads.
Wow.
Environmental shows, Vietnam, and came with Donna, my wife, who was executive producer, and we faced the task of bringing the station up from 3rd place to 1st place. And so we crafted a plan, and that was to use my correspondence experience. We went to Belfast, Northern Ireland, and Saigon 2 weeks before it fell. Iran, when the hostages were still in the embassy. So we were covering international news from a local perspective and finding, I remember in Saigon, our excuse for going. I like to travel. And cover the story
Works for me.
Was, the penny pence is a device of the Chicago Archdiocese to collect money. Well, where is it going? Well, it's going to the refugees in Saigon. That's
Let's go to Saigon.
I'm off. That's all I needed. And so.
Was it really, though?
It was,
Okay.
It was. But I forgot about it once I got there. So that is just a wonderful.
Well,
Wow.
so this
Wow.
is a segue that I was going to do later, but I think we'll do it now. So if we're not all convinced at this moment that we would like to be Bill Kurtis, let's take a look at this video, and then we'll really want to be Bill Kurtis. You have a great life.
Imagine trying to catch a bullet out of midair. This is a 9-month-old black bear cub. He's one of nature's really remarkable achievements. But scientists look at him as a metabolic wonder because during hibernation, he doesn't eat or drink, he doesn't expel wastes, and yet he emerges as healthy as when he went in. They're trying to unlock the secrets of how he works to possibly solve human problems. They're also looking at natural behavior to better understand how and why he developed that way. We're going to join 2 scientists in Yellowstone National Park who have documented natural behavior of grizzly bears better than almost anyone else.
Ancient instruments keep up the beat, and you can't help but be drawn in. Even in the hot African sun, the drums are seductive. Wow, what an experience. Look at that, unbelievable, unbelievable, looky here. 75 feet, well, I'm sorry to disturb you, but, and there's even a fish there. Have you been eating okay? You look at me like you've never seen anything like it before, and I assure you the feeling is mutual, especially here. They're about probably 4 to 6 weeks old. Careful, Wade.
And here in Namibia, the last stronghold of the cheetah, its numbers have been cut in half in the last decade. Our new explorers have changed their lives to bring their science to Namibia and make sure the cheetah's future is one of survival instead of extinction.
Like I said, who doesn't want to be Bill Kurtis? But I have a question for the two of you, sort of building off of what Bill said. So the weather came and this opportunity arose and you were there at the right time. Clearly you're gifted. Clearly you have a vision. But what if you had been on vacation that week, or, you know, as somebody who loves to travel? So building off what he said, how much do the two of you, Nicholas and Julia, and also Bill, of course, feel that your careers have had luck in them or have been all hard work? And I know there's no way around hard work and there's no way around talent. That's obvious. But how much does luck play a role?
I've had terrible luck. I'm kidding. No.
Go ahead.
No, I think you have, it's work. I mean, it's work.
There's no way around it. And it's talent, of course. There's no way around it.
It's, you know, the thing about practice. You know, I had a friend who wrote a book got his master's from Northwestern, wrote a book called Practice on Practice, and interviewed me and a bunch of people about practice. And my practice is doing, you know, learning through actually doing it and being in front of people and having to bring it and having to not suck, all right, having to be good, or having to, right, I mean, you know, as well as anybody, right? And you have to be in front of people and bring it and, you know, and be in tune. Yeah, and there's something about that that's really powerful. You know, you have to be in the moment.
Yeah. Do you feel that luck has played a role for you?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I mean, of course, there's, you know, opportunity and there's certain things that come together, but I moved to Los Angeles to be an accountant.
And you were an accountant.
And I achieved my dream.
Yeah.
And I worked as an accountant at Columbia Pictures, and it wasn't for me. I mean, I ended up being good at it, but it was hard for me to be good at it. This is just one example. And I actually was, because my whole family always made announcements that we were terrible at math. Like, it was a point of pride. Like, we're good at English, but we're bad at math. And so if I came home and said, I got a D in math, they go, oh, well, that's our family. Anyway, it was totally fine. And then I was like, I'm going to be different. That's how I was going to be different. I'm going to be good with numbers. So that was one of my drives, and I did. I ended up getting this economics degree, and I moved to LA and became an accountant. And then it was like, but what? Like, my whole career is going to be based on just showing my family that you can be good at numbers? I don't even like it.
Show up my parents. I think a lot of people have careers by showing up their parents.
Oh my God.
Majors in college are founded on showing up your parents.
No kidding. And then once you're a parent, you know you have to start manipulating that. I don't want you to do well in school.
Yes, right. The double agent parenting. Yeah.
Don't do good in that area. But anyway, for me, yes, it was a lot of luck, and also being in show business because so many things happen so quickly and it's so random. Like, I can see these great moments of luck. Actually, the older I get, the more luck it seems, and the less. I mean, because there's so many people with talent. I mean, it really is. There are so many people that work really hard, and there's so much talent.
Yes.
So, but anyway, so for me as an accountant, then I just happened to read an article in the paper that said that the Groundlings in Los Angeles taught classes to non-professionals. And that word non-professional made me feel really safe because I wasn't an actor, and I just thought, okay, I'll go, and it'll be a bunch of accountants or lawyers learning how to talk in front of a group. And I went, and after the first class, it was like, I'm going to change my life. I mean, then I could so easily not have read that, and I could so easily have gone in some other direction. And I also considered law because my father was a lawyer, and I used to watch him in front of a jury, and that was like performing, you know, like, and like my feeling of performing and explaining things to people, like I wanted to do that. But anyway, so I went to the Groundlings, and I was just like, that's it. I'm quitting my job. And then, of course, I starved for, it was terrible. It was like not instant success at all. But it was a moment. I happened to read that article. I happened to get into a great improv class. I happened to have great teachers. And I didn't even do well. I flunked my first class. I had to repeat beginners. Yeah. No, I wasn't even good. But I liked it. I felt good in it. It was, like I always say, don't think of something that, or I say to my daughter, don't think of something you're good at. Think of something that you don't mind being bad at.
And you love it so much you don't care.
That you love so much you don't care that you're not good.
Yes. Well, I have a sort of a similar story in a way. So I had nothing to do with, it was all business. I did an MBA, and I saw an announcement for a reality TV show with Steve Irwin, and I love animals, very much like Bill. I love animals, and so on a whim, overnight, because it was happening the next day, I flew out to New York, and I stood in line, and I was so excited about it. I happened to be the first in line, waiting in Times Square at 5 a.m., so that I could audition with Steve Irwin.
Oh my God.
And it ended up that they asked me to be their representative for this new reality TV show that was going to happen on the Animal Planet. I had not ever done anything in TV. This was long before I thought of this idea of
you were really
WTT.
cute.
I loved
good.
Well, I wasn't afraid of this big boa snake that they put on me. And, and then twist of fate. Steve Irwin, I don't know if you remember the crocodile hunter, but he had another baby, and he was feeding some crocodiles while he was holding his baby, and it was a big news break. He wasn't feeding the baby, I heard that. He wasn't feeding the baby to the crocodiles, but he was holding the baby while he was feeding a crocodile, and the news cameras got it really almost like baby's toe is in the crocodile's mouth. Anyway, they canceled the series.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, so I was so disappointed. I was set to move to Australia. I was so disappointed.
Wow.
Yes, no, it was big time. But it made me realize I felt so great doing it. I was like 120% of myself. And I thought, I'm never going to do anything else. Because I'm never going to do anything where I don't feel that bingo effect of your passion meets your skill set.
Yeah.
And if I'm not in that box, I'm not doing it.
You do
I don't
need
know.
the passion. Can I tell the story?
Oh, please.
Because I think it's really
Can Bill
on
tell a
point.
story? Please, I'm
It's
begging
really
you.
on point. I was interviewing Mortimer Adler, the great philosopher, father of the great books, of Encyclopedia Britannica. And I said, what is success? And what is happiness? And he thought for a minute, as he was always doing, but always willing to give you an answer. And he said, well, success is, a lot of it is luck.
Wow.
I said, what?
Wow.
The great books, you, an educated man, a philosopher with all the, who has written as many yourself as you recommend that we read. He said, well, let me tell you a story. I was 26. I was in New York. I hadn't really chosen what I was going to do, and I went to a cocktail party. And a young man from across the room came to me and said, hi, my name is Robert Hutchins. And I'm, what do you do? Well, I'm dean of the Yale Law School. How old are you? You're young. He said, I'm 33. How old are you? 26. And he said, well, I'll bet you think you're an educated man, but you're not educated. He said, what? He said, you're not educated until you are familiar with the works of the West, Western civilization. And they talked for a little while and parted. And a month later, 30 days, he gets this letter, and the letter is from Hutchins. And he said, I've just been named chancellor at the University of Chicago. Why don't you come and we'll be educated together?
Oh.
And he reflected on it, and he said, if I hadn't gone to that cocktail party, engaged in a conversation with this man, I wouldn't have then embarked on a career which led me to become editor-in-chief of the great books and create them, a philosopher at blah, blah. And I said, and that's, you attribute your success to that and luck? It so disturbed me that I flew my crew out to Aspen, where he was in residence there at the Aspen Institute, and said, look, I just want to ask the question. I came all this way. I just have one question. We set up, and I said, you said it was luck. And I said, were you wrong? Do you want another chance? And he said, no. He said, you know, it's serendipitous. Yes, you have to be educated. Yes, you have to be prepared.
Ready.
But somewhere you will find opportunities come in front of you.
Yes.
And there's no knack in taking advantage of them, but a lot of it is luck. He did not say God. I don't think he believed in God. He did not say anything else. Luck.
But I will add to that that it's openness to luck.
Openness.
Right.
Open.
And also seeing opportunities.
Yeah,
You know, I
think
could
so.
have easily looked at that announcement and said, like, New York tomorrow, I don't think it's happening. Or it was like 36 hours, so it was, yeah. I could have easily said, or he could have not almost fed his baby to a crocodile, and I could have been on a reality TV show and moved to Australia, so it could go either way. I actually have a tweet for you, sir, and I'm going to let Chris Thoren read us the tweet and who wrote it, because that person, who is it, Chris? Catching Chris off guard.
His name is George at Literally Crime.
Okay, George at Literally Crying? Is it you?
Literally Crime.
Oh, Literally Crime. Okay, well, George at Literally Crime, you have won Bill Kurtis's voice on your home answering machine. Nice job, you. So we've got your email. We'll hook that up. We'll make that happen because Bill is so gracious.
Yes.
Please read us the question.
George is wondering what your best memories with Charlie Trotter are.
Oh.
Mine?
Yes, yours.
Charlie called me one afternoon and said, Ferran Adria, the best chef in the world, is in town. I want to show him a good time. So I have a couple of my chefs, and I've rented a jet. And we're going to fly 20 minutes over to Ohio and Farmer Jones' lettuce farm. And sure enough, we got there, and Ferran and his wife were tired. But Charlie insisted that we go. And Charlie had built, with a foundation, the perfect kitchen and an apartment above where great chefs would come and teach, and the young chefs would learn. We had 12-course lunch. The other 12, each with a wine, 12 wines. And got back on the plane and flew back to Chicago, the 20 minutes. Can you imagine doing that?
Oh my gosh.
And here is Ferran. I frankly didn't know who Ferran was. He was here to go to the #1 restaurant in the country, and I can't.
Alinea.
Alinea. It has no address on it and no name. But
yes, impossible to find unless you're here and you knew it. Yeah.
But he was there, and but anyway, and he said, Chicago is the capital of fusion in the world. Ferran Adria is the capital of fusion at El Bulli, north of Barcelona. And I was reflecting on it just recently because he closed the restaurant to remodel, but it hasn't opened as a restaurant. That was a year ago. He formed a foundation to kind of start over exploring innovation, actually creativity.
Yes.
Charlie closed the restaurant and declared that he was going to pursue a graduate degree.
In
philosophy. In philosophy. It really was a way of saying he wanted to start over with something. Now, whether he had we talk about reinvention.
Yes.
Whether he had lost the passion. I'll tell you another story about Michael Jordan.
Okay.
And make it, that was kind of the
Order
end of
drinks,
Charlie
everybody.
Brown.
We're here for a while. Get comfy.
So Michael Jordan was having an interview at White Sox Park, and Cup was there. You're probably too young to remember Cup. And he happened to be interviewing him, in between innings. And Michael said, as an aside, I'm going to retire. Here was Cup who was over 80 years old, who heard the words "gonna retire," left immediately, came to Channel 2, came on the set almost from the top to report the breaking news and beat everybody that Michael Jordan was going to retire the first time. And I thought, that is a journalist. God damn it. That is the passion still burning bright. And all he wanted to do.
Snitch.
Yeah.
Or somebody who just overheard something.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was wrong? It happened to be right.
But anyway.
So that brings me to a segue for all of you, all three of you, Nicholas and Julia, and of course Bill as well. How much of the work is you, and how much of it is work? I mean, is there a difference between who you are and the work you do? Because all of your personalities so naturally blend right with your work. I mean, particularly you, Julia, because you're always writing about your work. My mother did this. And,
I know, I've got to stop that.
So you're always literally using your own life. And you too, Nicholas, in your songs, you're using your own life. So when is it stop being your life and it's your work? Or when is it stop being your work?
Because I've just decided in the last couple of years that I don't want to do autobiography anymore. I don't want to talk about my life anymore. Even though I'm not even saying that as a big announcement, not that anyone really would care or run to a TV station about it. Because, it becomes too invasive about your life. Like, I kind of feel like your parents are always fair game. And when you're single and dating, that's all fair game and great material. And then you get married and you have a kid, and then that's really not fair game anymore. That's like now, anyway. So I did this book, If It's Not One Thing, It's Your Mother. I do talk about my daughter a little bit, but I don't want to talk about them anymore. These are like real people that I'm trying to stay in a relationship with.
Yes.
And I really don't need to exploit them any more than I already have. Okay, so then I thought, okay, I'm writing fiction. And so now, for the last year, I've been working on a particular project. But I realized recently, as I've been showing my piece of fiction to people for the first time, it is so personal. It is so much more personal in a way. And then I had read this thing that Ann Patchett wrote where she said, I can't believe how much when I'm writing autobiography, how much fiction ends up in it. Like the dramatist hat gets put on and you have to make a arc and you have to add drama. And it's almost impossible not to accentuate things and leave out other things and create the structure of drama out of your life. And then, when I'm writing fiction, I can't believe how much of my own life ends up in the fiction. Like, the fiction almost ends up more personal.
Yeah.
So you can't help yourself.
Right, you can't help it. And it's only been in the last couple of weeks that I've realized how much of myself is in the fiction, and now I'm rushing around telling certain people who think, this is what I think. I don't think that. That's a character who's thinking that. That's fiction. So... Anyway,
but Nick,
I don't know where it's all blurred up. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's I guess the point that I'm making is sort of how can you create if it doesn't start with you, basically. I don't know, Nicholas.
Well, the place that I come from is being a songwriter and writing about the personal, or writing from the first person, and writing about pain, or writing about love, or writing about things that are universal issues like that. It's about me. It's always me. So when I started painting, and I've always drawn, and when I started painting, it's literally a place I go to where there's no, it's completely spontaneous. I have no fear,
and
absolutely
no
no fear, and I have no filter, no fear. And much to my wife's chagrin, I do like 90 a day, and she's like, "Can we just talk? Can you talk to me? Can we have some wine? Can we do something?" Anyway, I'm always drawing. I'm always painting. I feel like I always have to. But it's another muscle, It's another place I go, and it's very liberating. And it's not it's not as personal. Music, I identified with being a musician.
I want to be a musician.
Everybody wants to be a musician.
Well, you're sort of a musician.
You can't say. That riff right there was just about how I take too long in the bathroom. That's just melody.
Yeah.
Well, you're sort of half of the Jill. Well, you are half of the Jill and Julia show, which is a hiatus, but That's got music. I mean, it's really Jill.
No, but I always felt so jealous of Jill because Jill could write these songs. Who knew how much was part of her life or not part of her life?
Yes,
you know what I mean?
yes.
Like, and then I was coming out and telling these gut-wrenching true stories, which were true, and it felt so exposed. I kept thinking, I don't want to just be a confessionalist. I want to be an artist. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be inspired by what I see and make something else. And so I was always jealous of her. I mean, and she's so fantastic.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
You feel like more naked in the sense that
yeah, like I always felt so much more naked. And then also it was hard with music because, like Jill has these incredibly great songs that she's worked on and made perfect. And then actually my friend Wendy Goldman said the perfect thing. She goes, watching you and Jill, it's like you're both have these closets behind you in the show. And during the show, you're both running into your closet to get something. And in Jill's closet are these beautiful couture dresses that have been made exactly for her. And then your closet is like Goodwill. And then you're just running in there going, this looking for a sweatshirt. And I guess I loved that idea with music that you could create the song and you could craft these lyrics and it was this perfect thing that you worked on.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I'm trying to do now with writing. Because that's what I do.
Well, there's a form. It has a form.
Like,
Yeah, music is great because it does have a form, so it gives you a template that you can follow. But you're right, nobody really knows if it's your life or not. And then musicians get to belly up to the microphone and just let it all loose, and I think that has to feel so good.
It's very cathartic.
Yes.
No matter how I'm feeling, I can just, if I sing for 2 or 3 or 4 hours, the release is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's like nothing else, really.
But again,
it's like serious exercise.
You know, sometimes people won't let you not be who they think you want to be.
Yes.
So I was doing Cold Case Files, which is all murder and homicide, and you never know when you'll run into a fan. So it was 2 o'clock in the morning. I had just flown in by private plane from New York.
You are so lucky.
Did I tell you, we all want to be Bill Kurtis.
Yes, Maine. And here was a big white limousine, the only living thing at the airport. And there at the fence was the driver. And he, Mr. Kurtis, I'm over here. So I get in the back, and he said, I know it's about 20 minutes to the inn. But I'm a big fan of Cold Case Files. And would you like to see the last murder site in Bangor?
Oh, my.
2 o'clock in the morning. Well, sure, that's great. If it's on the way. If it's on the way.
If it's on the way.
So,
if it's next to the hotel.
Yeah. So we pull up. It is so dark. There is no moon. I can't even see out the window. And he said, you see, the body was found right over there by the pond. Really? Thank you. Well, how was it? You know, and then we talk, and you make small talk, and he dropped me at the hotel, and I'm sure was a happy man, much happier than I.
I thought he was going to try to kill you.
I was going to say,
that's what I was afraid.
That's the story.
I thought he was going to.
You want to see the last murder?
Right, my hand was on the door.
You're the one.
There's no more to that. But we play a role.
So I just got a tweet in for Julia, and this person, and Chris is going to tell us who it is. This person has won a signed book of If It's Not One Thing, It's Your Mother. Yeah. And this person has won 2 tickets to see BAM, which I think BAM's in the house. BAM, tell me when that concert is, when they're going to see you perform.
May 13th.
May 13th. You won 2 tickets to see BAM perform when the weather is good. Chris, what do we have?
Carol Montgomery, which is at Caro Montgomery.
Yay, Carol.
Julia.
Yes.
Yes.
What advice do you give your kids about living a creative life?
Ooh. Oh, first of all, unfortunately, I just have 1 kid.
Thank goodness, huh?
Oh, that is such a complicated question. We're going to be here for hours.
You can do it. You can do it.
Because I have a daughter, Mulan. She's 15, and she's really creative in a completely different way from me. I'm like the improviser. Hey, everybody, let's not have rules. Let it all go. Let's, I'm always trying to do that kind of stuff. She's also artistic, so creative, but in a very controlled way. So she's a piano player. She likes to have the music. I want her to play jazz. She likes classical. Like, she wants to have, so I'm always trying to get her to let go, and she's always trying to be reined in with rules. Like, she really loves the rules. So it's a really different dynamic than I ever expected to be in, where she's always saying, Mom, I have homework, and then I have this and that. Like, she really likes a routine.
She's the mom. It's kind of reversed.
No, and it's so funny because I know that it partly is luck. Like, her personality is luck. Like, it's just these personalities put together. And so you end up accentuating different things. Like, you have a kid that happens to be a certain way, you start accentuating a different part of your personality, then you become more like that other part of your personality, they become more like them, because you're also defining your personalities, but then you want to influence each other with it too. So I just feel like I don't even know if I can really influence her, but we laugh about it at least, and we have kind of a dance about it, like where I'm always saying, be free, let's do finger painting.
And structure.
And she's like, no.
No.
So I think that's really hard. Like, you have to find the kind of person they are and then kind of tease them out of what their comfort zone is. And I don't even know how successfully I've done that, but that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, and it's interesting that her personality has influenced you to bring out the stronger points in you as a balance or an opposition, maybe we'll say, to her.
Well, it's so interesting being a parent because you realize how personalities are formed and identities are formed, and me too. Like, everyone, like, I'm this and that because that's unique compared to this and that.
Yes.
And really, it's kind of arbitrary. It's sort of who you're around. What qualities are you going to say is like this other person? What qualities aren't? And I see her as a 15-year-old. It's so interesting. Like, sometimes she'll say, I'm like Dad. I'm not like you. And then sometimes she'll say to my husband, you don't understand me. Mom's the one who really understands me.
Okay, so that's convenient, yes.
Right, but that's how we all are. We're kind of all fluid. Like, it depends on the moment and who you're identifying with and what kind of qualities you have that you think still retain your unique identity in the face of all this fluctuating happenings that are happening. Yes. I don't know. So it's hard to get her to loosen up. And it's so funny because I didn't think I was going to be that. I always thought I was good at the discipline and the rigidity, and I was going to bring that to the table. But it turns out, who knows what kind of kid you get? Then you have to be a whole different person.
Right,
anyway,
to adjust to that.
That's really not even an answer to that question.
Yeah.
Well, you have children.
Yes.
I have a blended family. My wife has 2 kids, and I have 1 daughter, and so 3 daughters.
Wow.
Costa estrogen, we call it.
Wow.
And
you are outnumbered, sir.
Totally. And our dog died in June. He was the only male. I was like, please, hang on. He was almost 15. I was like, just hold on, please, 3 or 4 more years.
I need a friend.
So, no, it's, my whole thing is just really just by being myself. I'm trying to superimpose or trying to get them to do anything. They're already, I'm drawing like them. I mean, right? I mean, when I draw, I'm basically drawing like a kid. I'm trying not to be encumbered by thought and by, I'm trying to have no filter.
And how many people have seen Nicholas's work? Because you have a painting here.
I have a painting just happen to have a painting in the dining room here.
Yes, yeah.
It's a 8-foot by 5-foot painting in the dining room. And also, these 2 paintings, my friend Joseph Arthur, who's a singer-songwriter from New York, painted these, and me and Denise, my wife, and our friend, we stretched those. They're really kind of cool. Wow. He lived in this loft in Brooklyn, and he had enough space on the roof to do these 20-foot paintings, and it was it took a lot of time to stretch this. They're really cool, though. He's a great songwriter and also a great painter.
There's a lot of lips.
Lots of lips, yeah.
Lots of lips, yes.
Yeah, as there should be. Anyway.
Well, so I don't know how many people are familiar with Nicholas's artwork, but you also have your sketchbook with you. So after the show, he's going to be... Many sketchbooks. He's going to be showing us sketchbooks, and he's going to be signing CDs after the show. So that'll be great.
Interested. Yeah.
In fact, maybe we should have you sing a song so people can get a feel for... Give us a chance to eat while you sing.
What are we eating?
12 breast beef.
You guys all eat.
Brisket.
Yes.
You guys all just eat.
Oh my God, it's so good.
All right, this is a song called When the Fat Lady Sings. Someone knows that song? This is a song about, I started as a street musician in Europe and came to Chicago in '86, started playing in the street, started a thing called the Coalition for the Advancement of Street Art. We fought the city, And we won basically the ability to play music. That's how I started. And I started playing in clubs 7 nights a week, and now I'm incredibly famous. Anyway, legendary, completely legendary. So it took me a long time to finally write a song about being a street musician and basically talking about being an artist and the affliction. So the first lyric, anyway, I won't go into skeletal detail of the song, but I'm just going to play it. It's called When the Fat Lady Sings. I was struck with my affliction at a very early age. And I knew I had to make my music non-fiction, or I'd be like a panther in a cage. And I had no one to show me what to do, so I started playing in the underground. Just a Maxine Mountains and my acoustic kind of feeling. Through the filter of the blues, I started making sound. You know, 'cause this ain't no dress rehearsal. No, this is the real thing. No do-overs or reversals. We can't wait till the fat lady sing. We can't wait till the fat lady sings. We can't wait till they call for the second string. We can't wait till the fat lady sings. We can't wait till the knockout bell, knockout bell, knockout bell rings. Well, 8 hours a day in the church of the Elm. That's where I went to school to sing. I led a blues band and a jazz quartet, and I made more than enough money to live. And I know it sounds kind of funny, but dudes in three-piece suits stood around listening, saying they wish they was me. 'Cause I was living my heart and I was following my dream. And they said, hey man, that's what it means to be free. You know, 'cause this ain't no dress rehearsal. No, this is the real thing. No do-overs or reversals. You know, we can't wait till the fat lady sings. We can't wait till the fat lady sings. We can't wait till they call for the second string. We can't wait till the fat lady sings. We can't wait till the knockout bell rings. I've been doing this a long time, and only where I played has changed, but I still see myself at Jackson and State. I still hear them cats telling me that I'm lucky, but you know now I know that luck is what you make it all. This ain't no dress rehearsal. No, no, this is the real thing. We don't get no do-overs or reversals. You know we can't wait till the fat lady sings. We can't wait till the fat lady sings. We can't wait till they call for the second string. We can't wait till the fat lady sings. We can't wait till the knockout bell rings. You got
I'm gonna steal that line too.
I didn't even realize that I had the lyric about luck in that song. We were talking like
We were talking about luck.
I didn't realize that. Sorry.
That was so great.
I usually don't improvise as much, but I needed to just sing because I was nervous on that.
So much talent wrapped up in this body. He has on February 4th.
That was so good.
February 4th, he has a new CD coming out, and it's a CD.
No, it already came out.
Oh, sorry, gosh darn it. And he's selling that new CD here tonight.
Oh, yeah, it just
But your
came out.
party celebrating that is February 4th at Lincoln Hall.
At Lincoln Hall,
So
yeah.
everybody, we're going to go to Lincoln Hall, then we're going to the Duck Inn, so we got lots to do together.
It's gonna be a bus.
So would you still do your careers if you'd never kicked in? Like if you never had that thing that took off? You know, like if Lorne Michaels never found you at the Groundlings. If you didn't, if you
Did it work that way? Did he find you?
Yes, Lorne Michaels found her at the Groundlings, right?
He was just wandering around the alley.
You went out for a smoke.
Looking for someone, You're the dumpster.
I mean, if you never got on Saturday Night Live, do you think you'd still be writing? And where do you think you'd be?
I don't know. I have no idea. I feel like I could answer that yes and no. No, I really think I could have been a lawyer. My father was a lawyer. He was a trial attorney, so he was kind of a performer. He performed in front of the jury. I used to watch him all growing up performing. And that's what I wanted to be, so that was my idea of performing. And so for a long time I was going to go to law school, and I could totally see that could have happened. I mean, that could have happened.
But hasn't Mulan taught you anything? Because I'm not sure after what you just said about your daughter that maybe that really would have worked out for you.
Well, I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, I do know this. I come up with stories all the time. Stories are just happening in my head. I can't stop them from coming. I mean, it's really like I just let them come. I mean, I'm not even saying they're that good. I mean, I'm just saying they come.
Right now?
Like
This second?
No, but like every week I have an idea for a movie or a story I want to write or a place I want to go to understand. And that is just, I thought everyone was like that. And I'm not even saying I'm that unique. I think a lot of people are like that.
I think a lot of people are like that.
But I am definitely like that. And somehow that has to come out, and it happened to come out in the way that it came out, but I think it could have come out in some other way too.
Yes.
A lot of people are like that, but not a lot of people do it. I think part of it is the fact that those are the do and that, that whole
right,
cliche.
So you can think about it, but then you have to execute it.
You actually do it and execute it, and you'll whatever it takes, you'll do it to make that happen.
Well, no, I mean, that's a whole other topic.
All right, let's
doing it, because that also is hard, because I feel like I have a lot of ideas, but I don't execute them. Like I have like 100 ideas for every one that it becomes executed.
And how do you decide on the one that you'll do?
I fall in love with a story. There's a certain story I just fall in love with, and it keeps coming back, and I keep working on it in my head, and then I work on it writing it. So then it just keeps coming.
It's an affliction.
Yeah, like I can't stop it from happening.
No, I definitely think everybody has a dream. Everybody has a book. Everybody has an idea. And you're right. It probably would be successful. But a lot of people are afraid of failure. The advantage you have is that you have done it and you kind of see the path to success. You see how to, do you send I had a producer, I'll tell the story, who on my dollar as I'm paying him.
Important point.
Yes. Started writing. And he wrote on spec and sent off his manuscript to an agent. And the agent said, "What everybody dreams, this is the greatest thing I've ever read, and I think you'll be the next big mystery writer." And commissioned him to 5 books.
Wow. What? Like that.
How is that?
That's crazy.
Wow.
How is that? It is crazy.
Is it really true?
Yeah, it's true.
His name is.
And then did he write 5 books?
Yeah. And he got a contract for 5 more.
No. Wow.
I was so jealous, I wanted to kill him.
Wow. Yeah, who is it?
Some of us don't know how to tweet.
You don't know how to tweet? Well, if you promise to buy a book and read it. His name is Mike Harvey.
Oh.
His protagonist is an Irish cop, and he sets it in Chicago, and each one of those little mysteries
Oh my God, I have to...
incorporates what is happening now, and the politics, and the murders, and the sex.
Ooh,
wow.
Nice and juicy. So we just have a tweet that came in for Nicholas Barron. And this person is going to win 2 tickets to Lincoln Hall, February 4th, and a signed CD. Chris, what do we have?
James Robinson, at TweetJRobinson, asked, how have Chicago institutions like Old Town School of Folk Music shaped your music or career?
Ooh, good.
Old Town School of Folk Music?
Yes, like that question. I like
Wow.
James.
Actually, well, my very dear friend, her family is the founded Old Town School of Folk Music.
Oh, wow.
And strangely enough, I have been a person, I'm going to be honest, why not be honest, right? We don't live once. I basically, in a lot of ways, have been in and out of the sphere of things. So I have sort of been in the world and I've been out of it, and I've done my own thing. And I think that's because I'm, whatever, I just have done that. And so Old Town School I respect, but I'm sort of on the outside. I've played open for people there and done a lot of stuff there, and I respect, oh my God, I have huge respect for the history of Chicago music, and that's why I'm here. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Is that I started playing in the street. I played on Maxwell Street and with all the blues guys, and so I have a huge respect. But Old Town School of Folk Music directly, not necessarily a big influence, mostly from my just needing to play all the time and having a need to get out there and do my thing and showcase my songs. And so
they've been even if they haven't influenced you personally, I think they've been a great influence.
Oh, they're
for Chicago.
incredible.
I mean,
oh
yes.
Yeah, big time.
Yes, a
yeah,
wonderful influence.
Question.
And some other wonderful influences happen to be my sponsors. So we're going to have a quick word from my sponsor. And we're going to come right back in about 30 seconds, 90 seconds, 90 seconds. We're going to be right back after.
VOSS, artesian water from Norway. Splendidly still or luxuriously sparkling. VOSS, artesian water from Norway.
I got to know Staub through Alain Ducasse. Getting one for the first time and then cooking with it was a wow moment for me. What sets it apart, the construction and durability of it, the craftsmanship that goes into it, the history that goes into it. I mean, it goes back to Paul Bocuse. It's like the Mercedes-Benz of cookware for me almost.
Introducing Groupon's new bookable, time-based offers. Easily book a reservation at top restaurants right on the Groupon website. All we need is a date, time, and party size. Show up for your reservation time, no voucher required.
The break, how we're all going to go hear Nicholas Barron February 4th and maybe bring Mulan, which would be so fun.
Why not?
So I absolutely want to bring out Chef because we're having way too much fun for Chef not to be here. But a quick question around the table right before we bring out Chef. We are talking about advice and things that you do and how sometimes people don't let you be who you are, or there's this blockade to sort of being yourself. I'm wondering if you guys ever received any bad advice along the way, sort of quick snippets.
Oh my God, I need more time to think of that. There's so much bad advice.
There is so much bad advice. There is a lot of
Where do you start with the bad advice?
Yeah. But so, is anything that you really sort of rejected right off the bat?
We probably made mistakes in not taking good advice, thinking it was bad. But frankly, I have loved my job and what I did so much that almost anything was good.
Well, you're a very lucky man.
You're in it.
Very lucky man.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Any bad
No,
words?
I mean, I feel like I just lost the train of thought. Oh my God, it just went off.
Oh, the thing that was just terrible is my mother said, because when I was an accountant, as we know, and I decided to be an actress, she said, just get your real estate license. And actually now as a mother, I empathize. I was I hadn't even pursued acting, and then all of a sudden I was going to be an actress, and whatever.
It's depression thinking. My dad always said, keep that job.
Depression thinking.
Right,
yeah,
yes.
Well, I think also when I went to music school, which I did it for like a year and a half or so, it's a lot of fear-based thinking. It's a lot about fear. It's about you need to be scared.
Or practical-based thinking.
But which has its value, but it sort of instills fear.
Wait a minute, you're supposed to be the
No, I know, but I mean it is scary. Like I look back and I think I quit my whole accounting. I quit all this stuff, and it ended up working out. I know a lot of people it didn't work out.
Right. Yes,
and
of course.
who were equally as talented as me.
Yes.
I mean, so it is frightening.
Yes. Well, I remember sort of for me, when I was at WTTW, they always said gosh, you have a lot of energy. You just got to stop that. And in the beginning, I tried, I really tried to sort of, because I was new and I couldn't even believe I was there. And I tried to sort of be something else, but of course that never works. That never ever works to be anything but yourself. And as soon as you try to do that, you disempower yourself. So I quickly realized I've got a lot of energy. That's the gig, and that's what I'm going to go with. Yes. And Chef has a lot of energy too. So we're going to see what he's doing in the kitchen. Let's take a peek at the tall grass beef that he's been making for us. Let's watch this video.
Welcome back to the dinner party. We're getting ready to cook your entree now. Braised brisket from tall grass beef, stuffed pasta, and spigarello. So, got a beautiful brisket here, all natural, grass-fed. We're gonna cut a nice portion of it. Go to the fatty end and with all the flavor in it. So we're gonna take the good part of the brisket, we're gonna braise it in a Staub casserole. Start off by browning it just to get the color and the caramelization on the meat and render out some of the fat. And the fat is great and gives the meat a lot of flavor. And this is kind of inspired by a dish called brajol, which I grew up making here on the south side. A big part of this dish is that everything that goes into it winds up on the plate. So we braise the brisket with vegetables and tomatoes, lots of garlic and herbs in there as well. And all of those things are going to go together to make a really fantastic sauce. And we're going to serve it with that sauce, very Italian style technique. Now we're going to let that cook for about 6 hours. In the meantime, I'd like you to meet Bill Kurtis from Tallgrass Beef and let him tell you how this wonderful product is raised.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, buddy.
You have a good start here.
Yeah, well, we had a great product to start with.
You know, it's such a good example. I'd like to emphasize one thing that we don't really talk about a lot in the whole grass-fed movement. Of course, we have the usual suspects. No hormones, no antibiotics, been in grass all its life, no feedlots. But the fat is really kind of the star, and it's a hidden star. We don't talk about it. We have significantly higher amounts of omega-3 essential fatty acids.
Which is interesting because omega-3s are always touted as being so good for you, and people are told to source that from fish.
Yeah,
and what
they're
we're telling them now is that it's in beef. It's in your wonderfully raised tall grass.
Yeah. Another important point, as you have found, grass-fed beef cooks up much faster. So a lot of people will overcook it and say, "Oh, I don't like that." Grass-fed is not corn-fed.
Right.
They are two different pieces of meat, and we should treat them as such.
Right.
And once we respect that and each for what it is, then we can handle it, like you. So I'm going to stand right over here, let you start. I don't want to interrupt Miro in the middle of a genius piece. So
great to have you.
There we go. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. Okay, so we've taken the beef out after 6 hours, let it cool a bit. We trim it a little bit, and then we, to order, take a slice of the beef and warm it up in the sauce. While that warms up, we're going to take our pasta, which is a pappardelle that's been stuffed with ricotta cheese. I'm going to drop that in the water, and then we're also going to saute our rapini or spigarello, whichever leafy green works great for you. So we're going to check on our pasta, see how it's doing, check the tenderness. Feels like it's ready. Drop it into the pan with our butter. Throw a little chopped parsley on the whole thing. And then we're ready to plate it up. So here we have our braised brisket from tallgrass beef done in a brajol style with ricotta stuffed pasta and rapini. Thanks so much for joining me at the dinner party this evening here in the kitchen at the Duck Inn down in Bridgeport. Join us here or at any of our other locations, including Bottle Fork at 441 North Clark. Hope to see you.
Chef Hickey, belly up to the table. We have a place for you, sir, right here. Join us. Yay, so good. So good.
That was so good.
Chef, I want to ask you, so I'm just so grateful that chefs are really turning their attention. You do see it a lot, chefs that are touting sustainable food, humanely treated animals, humanely treated livestock, and they're getting that word out to the general public. And so now just anyone who can kind of belly up to a gastropub, and there are more and more of these now, are learning about our food sources. And Chef, when do you think people will start, so you see restaurants touting it, when do you think people will start going, besides me, going into the grocery store and saying, I want tall grass, I want humanely treated, I want, well cared for, no antibiotics?
Well,
I think you're already starting to see it to a certain extent with the success of alternative grocery stores and some bigger competitors like Mariano's, and they're carrying some grass-fed product. But
we have a Mariano's fan.
Beef is kind of like the last frontier when it comes to sustainable or farm-driven products. And people are very aware of fruits and vegetables and where to acquire them, and Whole Foods has done a great job providing really great products and local too, depending on, anywhere you are. You can walk into a Whole Foods in Chicago and see local Midwest farmers that you know from Green City Market or any of the great farmers markets throughout the city. And chicken is has really kind of blasted through that frontier insofar as antibiotic-free and all natural and hormone-free and so on and so forth. But beef is really kind of, Americans have a hard time letting go of the flavor and the consistency of commercially, industrially raised animals that have a strongly controlled feed, and unfortunately also have a great deal of medication involved in their rearing, so that you get a burger or a tenderloin or a strip steak that looks the same, tastes the same, all the time, all year long, every year, all over the country. So we have to kind of change the American mindset about beef.
And Bill, chime in here, because you explain to me what you do with Tallgrass. You are a rancher, are you not?
Well, yeah. So look at him. Of course. 8 years ago, I came to Chicago with no hormones, no antibiotics, and no market, and had to apply myself to go on radio shows and explain or educate that a grass-fed product, beef, takes 2 years to bring to the plate, whereas a corn-fed product in a feedlot takes 16 months. So you make more money faster, the rancher. But the problem is, just to sum it up really fast, the corn-fed model uses hormones, which are steroids, to cause the animal to eat more and gain weight faster. Those hormones are thought by the movement to reduce the average age of puberty for young girls even further. I started about 8 years ago, and the average age was 13 and then 9. And now, if you Google FDA, age of puberty, it's 7. And I always get that reaction. So those are just hormones, and they're going to be pulled out. Antibiotics are thought, and 80% of all the antibiotics we manufacture in this country for us go to livestock. 1, to help them gain weight. 2, to keep them alive in the close little paddocks long enough to eat them. So it contributes to an unhealthy diet. Now, when you change the mechanism inside the microbes in the stomachs, why, you change the microbes. On one hand, they evolved on grass. Now you put corn in there, starch and sugar. You drive out the nutrition, and it can be juicy and consistent, but not as healthy as it could be just on grass. It's a health food when you have a grass-fed piece of meat.
Right.
When you have a wonderful chef like Kevin, who can make, the bottom of my shoe taste good.
I dare you.
And I know you tried.
That's what we need to break through with grass-fed beef. And I predict in the future, we may not take over the whole market, but things will happen to really expand. And I'll give you one little tidbit as a newsman. Last week, you may not have seen the story, but there is a La Trobe University outside of Pittsburgh has discovered an antibiotic in the soil And the reason we haven't had any new antibiotics for the last 20 years is they haven't been able to create them in the petri dishes, the culture. So they find that this antibiotic resists mutation. So soon we'll have, we will have eliminated the resistant bacteria. And it's soon, 10 years for more study.
But don't we need that?
Need
The bacteria in our
you
system?
need the bacteria, but not the resistant bacteria.
Oh, I see, I see, okay.
Resistant to antibiotics.
Oh, I see, I see. Now,
Anyway.
do you think, Kevin, that this will, so you're seeing this take place, I mean, Tallgrass is a leader here, but I'm starting to, so with chickens, as you say, that started first. And I'm starting to hear more about grass-fed beef. Again, Tallgrass being a leader. Do you think with pork, people will come around? Personally, I am sick of seeing pork in my chocolate, in my ice cream, in my.
What's pork doing in your chocolate?
It is. It's in my chocolate. It's in my ice cream. It's on my waffles. It's. I don't know. And pork isn't raised. Pigs aren't raised well. Do you think you're going to see that come around for?
Well, you already see sustainably raised heritage
Now listen to the
pork.
audience. People are fighting me on pork in their chocolate. Is that right?
Well, bacon tastes good. Everything with bacon is better.
Everything with
What did you
bacon
say?
is better.
What did you say?
You're right. It's so true.
Well, there's a very similar movement in sustainably
You're all fired.
and heritage raised pigs as well as
Yes.
much. I'm going to venture to say that high quality, farm driven, sustainably raised heritage pig is a bigger movement than beef.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
I think that's true
Absolutely.
too.
I hope that
Any restaurant
I
you go
hope that
to,
it's coming
any quality restaurant is going to be working with heritage breeds of pork Berkshire and Swibin and all different kinds of breeds. That's a huge movement that's been going on for a few years. I think one of the most important things is as far as education, as far as what's available to the public, is that there's a great deal of government involvement actually that needs to occur that currently really isn't there. There's a lot of misnomers when you go and you look at food labeling and so forth, insofar as all natural, organic.
Right.
What do those terms really mean? What does it mean legally when you put that on a label on a food product? You'd be surprised to learn what it really means. I always equate all natural or organic to the smoking and non-smoking section of a restaurant. So
Yes,
if I'm sitting in the smoking section and you're sitting in the non-smoking one table over, how are you really in a non-smoking
Not smoking,
section?
yes, yeah.
Well, we don't really have smoking sections left,
don't have
but it's a good analogy because what does all natural mean? I mean, if I'm raising beef or pigs and I'm labeling them all natural, well, it's supposed to mean that I'm not using antibiotics, I'm not using growth hormones, I'm not using a lot of different medications. But if those animals become ill or have problems in the raising period, I can remove them from the flock, I can or the herd. I can pump them up with drugs, get them healthy again, and put them back in.
Right.
And I can then sell them as all natural.
Oh, I see.
And because they weren't on a system of antibiotics, a system of drugs, but I can get them well and put them back. Same with organic. I can have a 100,000 acre farm that's industrial and it's loaded with pesticides and chemicals and so on and so forth to ensure I don't have any waste from pests and so on, inclement weather and so on and so forth. But in the middle of that, I can create an organic patch.
Right.
Dig down about 6 feet, fill with organic soil, and sell those vegetables as organic.
Right.
But they're sharing the same root system and the same nutrients as the vegetables that I'm growing, that I'm loading up with chemicals to keep them.
This is why I'm such a fan of the Green City Market, and I've also, in Illinois, even though sadly we've now entered into the season of brown because not much is growing right now, you can make it out to local farms and you can buy things where you can actually see for yourself that they are what they say they are. I have a tweet for you, Chef, coming from Chris. This person has won a $100 gift certificate to any Rocket Ranch restaurant, but of course you're going to the Duck Inn because you're not crazy. And this is from our friends at Groupon, our wonderful friends at Groupon who've given us this. So Chris, if you could, two things. Read the tweet for Chef Kevin Hickey, and also, this also happens every time we bring out dessert, is everyone starts like getting giddy and you hear everybody talking amongst themselves. So let us know what we're eating, what these cupcakes are, and what the tweet is for Chef.
We'll start with the tweet. It's from Jacqueline Rod07, who asked, what was the best meal you've ever had and the one ingredient you can't live without?
Okay, so we'll come back to cupcakes. What's the best meal, that's on the spot, what's the best meal you ever had and the one ingredient you can't live without?
I couldn't live without salt.
Yeah.
The best meal I ever had was at a restaurant in Paris called Pierre Gagné. It was my 10th wedding anniversary, and I had a $2,000 lunch.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, happy anniversary to you.
That was 7 years ago, but thanks.
Wonderful. Okay, so tell us what we're eating, because everyone's pretty giddy right now. Tell us what we've got in our cupcakes.
So there are 3 cupcakes in front of you. The first is a creme brulee vanilla bean cake on a vanilla wafer crust, topped with vanilla Italian buttercream and burnt sugar shards.
Okay.
The second is a Grand Marnier souffle. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Marnier. Vanilla cake with orange zest and toasted almonds, served on a graham cracker crust, filled with Grand Marnier jelly and topped with Grand Marnier Italian buttercream.
Oh my God.
And last but not least is a turtle cupcake. Chocolate cake on a graham cracker crust, filled with caramel, topped with white chocolate Italian buttercream, finished with a caramel drizzle and crushed pecans from Chicago Cupcakes.
No wonder everybody is now sort of got a reboost of energy. They're super good.
Oh my God.
I know.
Best thing I've ever tasted in my life.
We come to eat here. Chef, so I have a question for you, because every time I go to a Trotter event, and I like to support, the Trotter Project and events similar to that, I see you. And so I wonder what influence Trotter had on you.
Oh, I don't think I would be here today or doing what I'm doing today if it wasn't for Charlie. He had a huge influence on me. At a very early age, I knew I wanted to be a chef. I mean, 13, 14 years old. And that was not a popular decision in my house. My dad probably still isn't too happy that I'm not a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. But Charlie definitely kind of elevated the craft, elevated the profession, made it okay for me to want to be a chef, to be a restaurateur. He loved and revered the dining experience.
Yes.
And he saw it for what it was and saw that it could be more than what it is. And I really don't think that the restaurant business would be where it is if not for chefs like Charlie, but I think Charlie himself had a dramatic effect on possibly 2 generations of cooks and chefs, and just his unrelenting, uncompromising commitment to perfection and excellence.
Yes.
And he made it okay to be, he made it respectable and elegant and cool to be a chef.
He did. I wish I had known. I only had one experience with him, and it was an experience over salt. I was eating at the Charlie Trotter kitchen table, and there were 8 of us, and Charlie went and he tasted everything, and he came to one station, and he said, "Do you have salt at your station?" And the guy went like this, and he said, "Well, then use it." That's my only experience with Charlie, and I wish I had known him so that he could be on the dinner party.
Oh.
I would like to think that he would have liked this. So, well, Chef, right before you came out, we were talking about bad advice and how along in our careers, we've had some great advice and some great opportunities, and then some people who sort of don't want you to go the way you're going. And I wonder if you ever had any bad advice, and then for the whole table, what's the good advice that you did take?
Absolutely no prep on any of these questions.
So. Yes, right. Well, that's right. Unscripted. Should we get you some wine?
Completely
That'll help you.
I haven't had any alcohol.
Oh my God!
Do you want me to answer for you?
My producer can get you some alcohol.
Well, I'm a little starstruck because I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. You and Phil Hartman were unbelievable.
That's great.
Bad advice? I don't know. I mean, I've got a very Buddhist outlook on life. I don't believe that anything is bad. I don't think anything is wrong. Everything happens for a reason. I worked for an individual, a great guy named Steve Lombardo, and he owns a restaurant company called Gibson's. And I worked for Steve before Gibson's at a restaurant called Sweetwater. When I was I was very, very young.
Wait, I went to prom at Sweetwater.
And now I feel very, very old. And Sweetwater was in I worked there for a couple of years, and it was kind of, in the end of its prime, so to speak. And Rush Street was getting a little rough at the time. And I worked for Steve, and I was the last manager of Sweetwater. I was like 19 or 20 years old. And I was in college in Wisconsin, came back, I ran it for the last summer, and he said, I'm going to close this place, and the guys at the bar are all throwing in, we're going to open a steak joint. Why don't you stay? Don't go back to school. And everybody around me said, oh, for God's sakes, leave. Do not stay. He's crazy. It's never going to happen. So I went back to college. And I guess he's been somewhat successful. And he's still a very, very close friend. So that may have been considered bad advice, but I wouldn't be who I am now had I stayed there and run a steakhouse with him 20 years ago, a lot longer than 20 years ago.
Wow.
Good advice.
Or maybe even the advice you would give to others now, to young chefs.
Best advice for you. I'll tell you the advice that I give this on a very regular basis. I don't get it as much as since I left Four Seasons, but when I worked at Four Seasons, I used to get people coming into the restaurant all the time and say, my son, my daughter my son or my daughter wants to be a chef. They want to be a chef. And I would say, do they cook at home? Not really. Okay, because I started at like 12 years old, doctoring up my Chef Boyardee with dried oregano and trying to get something going. So if you're not instinctually going for it, I'm a little concerned. If you want to be a musician, my son wants to be a rock star. Can he play an instrument? Does he like music? Not really.
That helps a lot.
He wants to be an actor. Does he like to perform in front of people? No, he's very shy. But they always say, what culinary school should he go to? And I say, can you afford culinary school? What do you mean? Do you have $50,000 or $60,000 to spend on culinary school? Well, yes, we do. Then don't send him to culinary school. Support him or her. Let him live at home for free. And tell him to go to the best restaurants in the city and say, I will work here for free. And they'll get into a great restaurant. They'll learn how to cook.
That's great advice.
And you as a parent, let them stay at home and work their asses off, and maybe they'll learn.
We all have that in common.
Bruce Sherman of North Pond was on this show in September, and he said what he's seeing is that so many young kids are seeing chefs on TV. They're saying like, I want to be a chef.
Yeah, well, that's these parents saying, my kid watches Hell's Kitchen. They want to be Gordon Ramsay. Nobody wants to be Gordon Ramsay. Trust me. You don't want to be Gordon Ramsay. But it's not it's not like a 10-year-old who wants to be a policeman. It's not the same thing.
Well, his advice to them when the kids get into the kitchen, because I'll call them kids because they're so young, is mouth shut, hands moving.
Yeah.
So you really have to put in your time. There's no way around the work. We all know this.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people don't realize, and they realize that you see when kids come out of culinary school or they do an internship and then they just don't go back to school, or they leave the industry after 2 years, because it truly is manual labor. As glamorous as you think it is, and as glitzy, and you get to sit next to famous movie stars and all this kind of stuff. It's humbling. It's humbling. But it takes a lot. It's a lot of years of I mean, I think I've got like 5 years left on this hip, and then it's gone. I've got to get a new one. And it's
so demanding.
Decades of hard, sweaty, dirty labor.
Yes,
physical labor in tight quarters in a hot kitchen.
Everybody's
and I always say it's the only industry in the world where the tension and the pressure and the intensity is just so high. Yeah. Because it's probably I think it's the only industry in the world where you create your product, produce your product, sell your product, and get instant feedback in one day.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't happen. Think about, I don't know what anybody does in here, but if you design cars, you write a song, you manufacture things. There's months and months of research and development, discussion back and forth, production, pre-production, models, all this kind of stuff. And in the kitchen, it's like I've got a carrot, and and I've got a celery, and I've got a piece of beef, and how am I going to turn this into something that somebody's going to pay $34 for? And then how am I going to get it in the window hot, along with 4 other things that are hot or cold, and get it to the table at the same time, and then they're gluten-free, and they don't like dairy, and then... And I still get it out, and it's hot, and it's good, and then they say, it was a little salty.
Oh my God, it's so true.
You know, I mean, and it's tough. And then when you do get up to the levels, and you're the chef, and your name is out there, and I say this to my friends all the time, because I have restaurant friends, but then I have friends who are not in the restaurant business, which I really like having friends that are not in the restaurant business, because I like to. I've never watched a single restaurant talk or cooking show. I hate it. Very stressful. But I say to people all the time, you're an accountant, okay? So you're an accountant. So imagine you sit at your desk, you do your accounting, you have your stuff, you're done at the end of the month, and now somebody takes all the work that you did for the month, they write an article about it, they put it in the newspaper with your picture, and they say that you're no good.
Oh, God.
Yeah. That's what it's like. It's like being a performer.
Yes.
You know, you're out there, you're naked, you're laying it all out on the table and giving everything you got, and it's like, oh, it wasn't very good. It's soul crushing.
Yes, it is soul crushing.
And so add that to the physical labor and the stuff, and it's just an awful business. Don't get it.
No, you don't make it. It does not seem good.
No, I tell my kid all the time to become a rock star.
It does not seem good, but I'm glad you're in it.
delicious.
But as my son just turned 12, so I just tell him all the time, listen, just find something you love, and you'll, maybe you'll be okay, because. If you want to have any success whatsoever in life, that was a big epiphany for a long time ago when I thought about quitting the restaurant business. I should be, becoming a lawyer. I should be a doctor. I should do something else, but because this is too hard. I got to work too hard. But you know what? No, there are no successful lawyers or doctors or accountants or dress shop owners or seamstress or actors or anybody that works 40 hours a week. 9 to 5.
That's right.
There's no success in that. You will not be successful.
Yes.
You have to work your ass off. So if you're lucky to figure out anything that you even remotely like, then you're 10 steps ahead of everybody else.
To me, like what I say to my daughter is, you have to find something you love, but you're not going to love it every moment.
No.
Yes, right, of course.
Like
Brace
there's going to be times when you hate it. Like, it's not like a love affair that's going to last forever. It's like a relationship. You're going to love it and hate it and come back and love it again. Ugh.
Gluten-free, peanut allergy, dairy-free.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Any words that you would give to a young journalist?
What words do you have?
Well, make sure you develop a writing skill early.
Sure.
I started when I was 16 in high school. I got a part-time job. Tiger Woods started when he was 3.
Wow. Well, but he under duress. He really.
Yeah, but what you do.
The jury's out on him.
Yeah. I didn't say start golf at age 3.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Where.
Dear.
Anyway, you have to find that passion for what you love as early as possible. You can find it at 25, 30, 65, too. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up. I love that. Don't give up. Yep. You, Sir Nicholas?
Yes.
Words of advice you would have for a young musician?
Oh, young musicians. We live in a time, I think, where people are focused on the outcome.
Right.
Now because of shows like The Voice and American Idol, all this stuff. And it's not about the outcome. Not that anyone's going to listen to me. It doesn't matter. But the point is, I didn't worry about the outcome. I wanted to sing great, or I wanted to write great, or I wanted to touch people. When I was in the subway, playing in the subway, I wanted to touch the guy that was standing listening, missing 12 trains, literally.
Because he wanted to listen to you.
It's as simple as that, and it becomes this bunch of other, bullwinkle. It's really about connecting with people, connecting to yourself first, and that feeling, that passion. We all have the same exact feeling in different fields, and that's all it comes down to. That's all that matters.
Yes. Well, I have a great tweet for all of you, and this person is going to win Staub cookware and 4 cupcakes, because you have not had enough cupcakes. 4 cupcakes from Chicago Cupcake. Chris, what is our last tweet for the whole table?
No, you
gotta eat.
Okay, they're fighting over the cupcakes here. What is our tweet for the table?
At Income Follower, her name is Laura, asked, for your guests, what was your biggest fear and how did you overcome it?
Nicholas, starting with you and around the
My
table.
biggest fear?
What was your biggest fear and how did you overcome
Swimming with sharks. I was terrified of swimming with sharks.
it? And
I
you've
did it.
overcome this?
I wasn't, and I'm not worried about it anymore. I'm doing it, man. I'm doing it. Do what you need to do, sharks. Go ahead.
Quitting my job and opening a restaurant was horrifying. Still is.
And what was the job and what year was this?
It was a year and a half ago, and I worked for
Oh,
four.
that's
It's happening right now.
I'm living my nightmare as we speak.
You are afraid as we speak.
I left Four Seasons after 20 years.
It's going to be good.
Yes.
And so please, for the love of God, come to my restaurant. My kid needs to eat.
The Duck Inn in Bridgeport. Julia.
Okay, wait, what is the question again?
What is your greatest fear?
My greatest
and
fear.
how did you get over it?
My greatest fear.
Being
Okay,
at a dinner
for
party.
me, because I love to get out and have the adrenaline rush. Okay, this is going to seem so sad and personal, but I'll say it quickly. The biggest fear is having a daily practice. Sticking to your daily, boring practice.
That discipline of doing something.
The discipline of the day. I like a big show. I like to get out and make a big laugh. I like the adrenaline rush of the party. And so to me, the hardest thing for me is to get up every morning, face my blank page, and spend 3 hours with no internet. And I'm really into freedom, by the way, you know, where you turn your internet off, and just writing. And that is actually the hardest thing I've ever done. That's my biggest fear.
I understand that. The fear of the blank page. I have a question I'm just dying to ask you. I've been dying to ask you now for like 90 minutes. It has not related to anything. Is your closet messy?
No.
No. What? It's not. It's quite organized.
I thought it would be messy. Oh gosh, I was hoping to feel better about myself.
I know. I'm sorry.
My closet is
that's
so
another
messy.
show.
and
We
so-
can do a whole night about closets. And mine is clean, and I used to be messy.
Oh,
That's right.
I've got
It's a
lessons. Okay, so
journey.
that's my biggest fear. But
It's the
okay, I'm
OCD
going to
show.
Bill. What
Okay.
is your biggest fear, and how did you get over it? If you did.
I hate snakes, and I haven't gotten over it.
You hate snakes.
Steaks? You say?
Snakes.
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 You got all of them.
And yet he has a cattle ranch. He hates steak. He has a fear of steak. And he has a cattle ranch.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we've done a little drinking on the stage today. Okay, I'm going around the table quickly because we're going to be over very shortly. But I'm starting with Chef and then going around the table. Chef,
No pressure, chef.
No pressure.
when you're not cooking in the restaurant, what do you make for yourself at home? What's like your go-to thing? Easy, fast? Peanut butter and jelly, mac and
I
cheese?
really, really don't cook much at home. My wife has become
I
a
thought so.
spectacular cook.
That's right. That's the way it always works, right?
But I have a panini machine. I love any sort of like crispy, gooey sandwich.
What would be an example of crispy gooey sandwich?
I always have
Monte
in the
Cristo.
fridge. I always have some sort of salumi, either like a Spanish chorizo or a copa or mortadella or something like that. So that we always have good cheese and.
Do you make
Bread.
sure the cheese is there, or
And
does your wife?
My wife makes sure
I just
everything
wanna
is
know.
there. I would have, I'd be sockless, underwearless, and drunk out of my mind every day if it wasn't for my wife. She is all that stands between me and oblivion.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to hear.
No, but it's true.
Jardinere. I always put jardinere on the
I
sandwich.
love jardinere.
Yeah.
I love jardinere.
All
What
right.
do you always make for yourself at home?
That's like brutal, man.
It's too embarrassing. Go, not another person.
No, come on.
Okay, right now I'm really into this thing. It's totally terrible. I like to take a can of tuna with Hellman's mayonnaise. Yes, I like it, and I know a lot of people don't, but I like it because it has a certain kind of tang that I can't get in the other mayonnaises.
All right. Oh, so you know
And I chop up a pickle and I put
Yup.
it in, and then I get my chips and today
Chips?
and then I eat it with chips like it's a dip. Yeah, that's right.
I don't
There's
think
my
that's so
embarrassing
bad.
thing. That's my lunch.
I don't think that's so bad. I like.
Oh my God, it's so good.
I like
Can
the
I just
tuna and
say,
chips.
me and my tuna, we have a very special relationship.
Wow, you do. Tuna and Hellman.
Bill, what's your special relationship?
Cheese. I like cheese, but Fresh Market I've sort of discovered, and Donna and I buy every weekend pork.
Oh, you do?
And pork ribs, and I will sit there and...
Listen to these people who clap for pork. Is it humanely raised pork?
I do not know. I don't care.
Oh, this kills me.
Like these pigs were so
They were treated
Well,
horribly.
okay, I stand by my humanely treated animals.
Pork treated horribly.
Well, what do you make at home? What's your easy go-to?
Oh, gee. Well, what do I make at home? That's funny in itself. What do we have at home? Cheese, St. Andre. It's good.
Okay.
From Whole Foods.
Okay.
Or Trader Joe's.
Fair enough.
It's good.
Oh, throw out the names. Just start throwing out the grocery stores.
He's a friend of mine.
Come on.
Okay, is there any food, this is like mayhem, is there any food that you don't like? Like, do you have not an allergy, but any food that you don't like?
Unfortunately,
Yes.
No, right, Bill. You
I
are,
have something.
man.
Okay. I like to cook, and I like a big project. I'm a person who likes a lasagna that has 60 layers, and it takes me 3 days to make it.
Okay.
And it's a joke in our family. Okay, so I decided on Friday that I was going to learn to do spring rolls, which, by the way, are friggin' complicated.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so I did my shrimp. I boiled the shrimp in the special soy sauce with everything. I chopped up the cucumber. I chopped up the carrot. I chopped up the mint because I couldn't get the Thai basil they asked for. I got the other basil. I got it all together. It was 600 things, and then there was another noodle, and you put it in the water for 10 seconds, and then roll it all up. I started at 2 o'clock. We ate at 7. From 2 to 7, I literally was on the job. I can't talk to anyone. I'm chopping. I'm making. 2 to 7. 5 friggin' hours. We make the spring rolls, and we take a bite, and I thought, you know what? I forgot. I don't like spring rolls. I don't like them. They don't taste good to me.
Chef, can you relate? Spring rolls taking 5 hours?
I haven't met anything that I don't like yet, if it's prepared properly.
That's right. Yeah.
Poorly cooked food's pretty awful.
Yep.
Yes.
There are some things that poorly cooked are truly awful.
Yes.
You know, like I'm not a huge fan of beef liver or calf's liver, but if it's done right, it's quite nice. If it's done poorly, it's horrific.
Yeah.
So
I don't like
don't
roasted
overcook
carrots. I can't get
roasted carrots.
carrots. Oh, I don't know. I can't do it.
No, roasted carrots are good.
They're good. Listen out.
I don't know. And I love sweet. I love sweet, but I
Sweet
just can't
carrots, honey with
What
honey.
about you? Anything you
Brains.
don't like?
Not into brains.
Not into brains. Okay,
No.
yes, and I don't
Not
like
into
tongue,
brains.
obviously.
Not into brains.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, a one-word answer, and then we're all gonna sort of mingle after this, and I hope you guys can say one-word answer. New Year's resolution, and are you sticking to it?
Oh my God.
I want to eat at Kevin Hickey's refrigerator.
Yes, okay. That's a New Year's
Can
resolution.
I have the same one?
Yes, you can. So all of our New
I've
Year's...
just made it.
Okay.
All three of us. Cover the bases.
Okay, so the New Year's resolution of this table is to eat at Chef Hickey's
invited to your house for
refrigerator.
dinner.
So we're going to your house for
coming
dinner,
over.
and we're going to the Duck Inn. I want to thank all of you for coming tonight. Your energy really makes all the difference. Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody at City Winery because they really know what they're doing here. So thank you to City Winery. Please look at your screens. It takes a lot of people to put this show together. So please look at them. They've done a great job. I want to, of course, thank Bill Kurtis. Bill Kurtis. Julia Sweeney, the funny. Chef Kevin Hickey. We're all going to the Duck Inn. The wonderfully talented Nicholas Barron, February 4th, Lincoln Hall. My name is Elysabeth Alfano. If you've had a good time tonight, and I know that you have because it's been very fun, our next show is February 16th. Tickets go on sale either tomorrow or Thursday, so I hope that you'll get them. I hope you'll join me February 16th. Have you heard of a little band called Destiny's Child?
Yes.
All right, just saying. We have Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child, a gospel singer in her own right.
Wow.
She will be here, I know, very big. We have, if you've ever seen the TV show The Doctors, he's also a full-time consultant on The Rachel Ray Show, an author. Dr. Ian Smith is going to be here, and Hollywood director, screenwriter, actress, you might know her, Catherine Michon, her new movie's out, Muffin Top, A Love Story. She's going to be here, and we have a Trotter influence, Trotter devotee, wonderful chef, Guillermo Tellez from the Tippling Hall. He's going to be here February 16th. Please get your tickets. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's been wonderful to have you. Stay warm, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Oh, my.